who is sponsored by a coach who lives 1,000 miles away. You and Sue hit it off, and at the end of the event, Sue says to you, man, I wish I had met you earlier, I want to be on your team.
Okay. And there's an or. This has never happened, by the way.
Never. A prospect attends the event by invitation of another coach outside your area. After the event is over, the prospect comes to you and says they feel it would be in their best interest to choose you as a coach instead of the person who referred them. What is your role as a leader?
This happens, doesn't it? Yeah. Very, very real. So this is, now you should have your pens out and your papers out. This is the dispositive answer, okay? This is the guiding light, the Constitution for when this happens. This is, so you got to be right, please.
Pressure. All right, well, basically, my team feels that you need to have a service attitude, first and foremost. And this is going to happen to every single one of us, and we need to set precedents to everybody that's there at the event, as well as set the precedents for the prospect or coach that comes to the event, and really be effective in communicating that. It's easy to feel that way because we're in a room, and there's a lot of people here, and there's camaraderie in that. Welcome them to be a part of that community, that local community. But first and foremost, they have a really strong connection already with the coach that they're on the team with, and that would be the right thing to do, is just, obviously stick with that coach, but offer our service to that person, as well. So be a support network, and just let them know this happens a lot, but first and foremost, your responsibility to obviously be with your coach. You obviously have a good connection with them.
Great answer.
Craig, any comments?
Yeah.
Change it up a little. You don't meet them at an event, Facebook.
Oh, I'm just saying the same thing, same deal. Yeah, they've been, a lot of times, what we were saying is a lot of times people are drawn to those who are, seem to be a lot more successful, so they automatically think that that's going to make them an instant success. And actually, engagement is what makes you success, not your location, not, the person who signs you up. I'm sure all of us have people on our team that we can't get to talk back to us, right? So obviously there isn't secret sauce, because we're successful. Every single person that joins up with us is going to be successful. So the same type of thing, you have to explain to them that it's their, they have a commitment with the person that they're speaking with already, and ultimately what will determine their success is their personal engagement in the business.
So, good answer. It's a tough thing to do, but it's a very real thing to do. But I think when you look at this, we have to remember, everything, good and bad, we do duplicates. Everything that we do. And if you do this one time, so they'll do what we do. And I think there's a tremendous statement about you as an individual if you honor that relationship with that other person. Say, boy, I'm glad, however, someone else really invested in you in doing this, and I want to honor that relationship.
That's extremely prevalent. How many of you in here have been faced with that situation as leaders? That's what I mean. That's totally prevalent. You're going to hear that all the time. So the integrity of that, if all of us in this room agree to it, and we all stand back to back on that and agree to it, it'll get done. But if one person starts to fudge on it, then the strong chain gets broken. So I think it needs to be a loyalty commitment in this room right here.
Okay, table 5. Who's 5? Right here. Do you have your scenario with you? Did you guys get that? What's your name? Okay, this is kind of the same. Go with that one. Yeah.
A coach who lives in your area but is not on your team contacts you and asks you if you would be willing to mentor them because they get zero support from their upline. How do you handle this as a leader? So we said that first and foremost, we want to find out what they have done to contact their upline, such as if they emailed them, did they call them, how many times, how persistent were they? And so depending on the answer, like a lot of coaches, they just tend to say, oh, I sent an email, or oh, I left a voicemail. And if that's the case, then we would give them step 1, 2, and 3, like do this, this, and this, and then come back to me and let me know what the results were. And then if the scenario persists, then we would plug them into local events, or we help them one-on-one, but limit our time because our time is first and foremost to our team, and we're responsible to our team first, so we still want to help other people, and that's the way we would handle that. Secondly, we would find out what their goals are and what they need from us. So, like, where do they want to go? Do they want to get to Emerald? Do they want to get to Diamond and Beyond? And then from there, we determine how much support we need to give them. So it's kind of.
Okay, great. Craig, any thoughts?
Now you're saying how much support you give the crossline. They're not your downline, but you're considering giving them support. Is that what you're saying?
Beg pardon?
I was trying to understand what you're saying. You're saying that if they're not in your downline, not in your organization, and they come to you, that you're going to go ahead and figure out what the needs are, and you're going to support them? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, we would first find out what they've done to contact their upline first. Like, if they've ever contacted them, if they tried to contact them one time and got no response, and then based on the answer to that, then we would go on to the next steps.
So what you would ultimately, if I'm in someone, if I'm in Doug Fitzgerald's downline, and I'm not getting any help, and I come to you, you're going to ultimately help me, no matter what I try to contact and what I got, you're going to help me.
Yeah.
How many of you would do that? How many of you would not? We need to talk about that. I mean, it's a difficult thing. It really is. We can talk for a long time about that, but it's really difficult. And I promise you, most of the people in your organization that say they haven't gotten help, it's probably because they haven't. At least my experience for 30 years, they didn't search it out. And so to get tied into that is difficult because, I mean, you're building your business for your financial success, and I understand the bigger picture, but I think with what Beachbody offers with national calls and everything going on, it's going to be hard if you get hooked into that position with someone. So it's really, even if you go to work and find out who their upline is, you contact them, I got this person, you need to get with them. But to pass that off is really important, I think, for you guys. I just think long term. I mean, because now if you got, I know, hold on, but if you got 100 people in your group, if you got 20,000, Tracy Morrill, I mean, she can't help everybody else's organization and her own, although I know Tracy, she helps everybody, okay? But, it's hard to do that because again, you have to build your financial business, your future for your family, and that has to be at first because it is a business. So I just thought
So you're saying yes or no?
I'm saying.
Or are you saying depending on the response?
I'm saying I would work, if they came to me, I would work hard to find out who their upline is, and I would get a hold of their upline myself, and I would transfer that person off. And that person off.
Let's go with number 6. Okay, go ahead with that.
You receive a call from corporate informing you that they have received numerous complaints about certain business practices of one of your personally sponsored top producing coaches. They ask you, because you are the upline sponsor, to address this situation with your coach. What's your response? But wait, there's more. You become aware of unethical activity in another leader's organization, cross-recruiting, harassment, buying positions, selling on Craigslist, etc. As a Beachbody leader, how do you appropriately deal with this situation? Well, we felt like this was a couple actually different things. So on the cross-recruiting and harassment, Demi actually had this going on right now, and so she felt like, and we felt as a team, that that specific incident is an immediate go to corporate and let them handle it. The other things, though, we felt like that would be something that you would then go to that specific leader and talk to them. So if in the second scenario where it says the leader was doing something, become aware of unethical activity in another leader's organization. If it was something other than the harassment and the cross-recruiting, that you would go to that leader and tell them what was going on and ask them to talk to their coach. And then in the first part, if it's your personally sponsored, we said that you would approach it with a face-to-face or voice, not email or text, because we really feel like that has to be something that can be misinterpreted.
Yeah, a number of points there. I really appreciate your last point. This happens, I think, in all organizations and communication. I smile sometimes, even in corporate. I'll sit this far away from somebody, and we'll have an issue, and what happens is I'll get an email about it. And Brent has, challenged us, get up and let's get up and have a dialogue. Talk to the person, because context is lost, meaning is lost unless you're willing to pick up the phone, look someone in the eye, or at least share what the feelings are. So I think number one, build the relationship so that the intent is felt. Another piece, and I think Carl alluded to this a little bit earlier. Jemima and Jonathan cannot police everything that's happening out there. They can't take care of every issue. And there needs to be, I guess as Carl said, not in my house, not in my backyard, but when we see things as leaders that are happening, that we know that are unethical, that we know that are eroding the business, that erode trust, then we have a responsibility to handle that and to deal with it. And it's not easy. Boy, do I ever get that. It's not easy, but I think there's that, that responsibility to do that. Craig, any additional thoughts?
That's awesome.
Okay, let's move on, because we want to give you some time. Okay, what have you got here? Yes, you may. Monica, did I do okay? Yes, you may. Okay.
Beachbody announces a Success Club Team Challenge to help you and your team build their business. As the leader, how do you specifically engage and organize your organization to maximize this opportunity? How do you create a healthy culture of accountability within your team? So we came up with creating a Facebook group, hosting a team call and record it, so if they couldn't actually be on it, they could replay it. And we thought that was important because not everybody's on Facebook. And share the information that we obtain. Break those people down into success partners, into a team, and try to do it on different levels of engagement. Take a diamond with a coach, or a ruby with a coach, or whoever's most actively involved, and put them with somebody who's a little newer, maybe not as involved. Host weekly group accountability calls, and share what worked and what didn't work. A few people each of those weekly calls. Break them down to success partners where they check in with each other each day on a phone call, and then rotate those people every week to continue to learn from each other and grow. And the characteristics that we thought would be humility, vulnerability, passion, caring, supportive, and demonstrate integrity.
Okay, good. We saw when we did this team challenge, and we're going to talk about this a little bit more tomorrow, some of the learnings, but it was really interesting to watch different coaches approach forming up their organizations differently. And I know Fran did a great job. Tommy Migrant did a real nice job. He had a little bit of a head start on some things, but it was really interesting to deploy where they said, we're going to have 40 teams. And then he started to identify, okay, who can the leader of each team be, and started to create this accountability between all of them. And magically, I think up front, it's more work. It was a little bit messier on the front end of things. It took more effort. But then as this thing got deployed, what happened was you saw this different level of leadership service. People they started to duplicate, and more responsibility. And all of a sudden, these people that you may not have thought would rise to the top, rose to the top as new future leaders, and they became the go-to people. There's some great insights on that. As we go out with this Beachbody challenge, this is one of the things that we really need you to focus on. Start thinking, how can I organize my teams, my groups, to really take advantage of this? Because it's not a build that they will come type of a thing. It's something that we have to structure and we have to put out there, but it will pay off in big time. Okay, thank you. Okay, 2 more. Okay. Because here you would just call your wow, love it. I think. So you both about the same ones. Okay, good. Then we're gonna. Okay, then you can go with that one. So I'm sorry. Oh, you know what? We have a mic. I'm sorry.
Okay, one of your top producing PS coaches decide they want to start representing another MLM company, along with their Beachbody business. As a leader, how do you handle this? But wait, it's worse. You discover that another coach in your area, not on your team, has been cross-recruiting your local coaches for another opportunity. You know this because you're getting calls from members of your team who are uncomfortable about the request to not tell your upline. What's your response? Fired.
So what do? Tough stuff, real stuff.
Well, first of all, you deal with them directly. I mean, again, you don't deal with them through email or text or Facebook. You go to them and say, are you aware of what policies and procedures are? Now, there is a fine line of what another MLM is. If you're doing, what did you say, Casey? Vacuum cleaner bags and fitness. It's kind of, 2 different things. But if you're doing fitness against fitness, that's against policies and procedures, so, as we understand it.
Okay.
Okay, so you deal with them directly and let them know what the risks of policies and procedures are, that they could potentially lose their business. Share with their leadership if they're coming, this has to do with cross-recruiting, another team, another coach in your area, cross-recruiting your local coaches. You know, you wanna share with the downline. You wanna let them know what the potential of hurting their business as well. So also you need to be careful of the downline negativity that could be created from I just lost it.
Just, okay. So just from what's happening, just, I mean, from the activity, the rumors,
Right, because, you know, if somebody's coming to you for another opportunity and they're telling you, don't tell your upline, but, you know, I want to process this opportunity, don't tell her. Well, then she gets uncomfortable and she comes to you and tells you. So you deal with them directly. Bottom line is when you're talking to somebody and when you're dealing with people, deal with them directly. Let them know what policies and procedures are, and if you have to, contact them.
you know, these are really, really delicate issues, and they're sensitive, and they're tough issues. You know, just in my experience, the way you just suggested really is powerful, and sometimes we tend to overcomplicate it. But I think, you know, number one, go to people directly on it. Number two, lots of times, you know, rumor becomes fact on this. And what you're doing by going to the individual directly is trying to get the other side of the story. I used to practice law, and I learned early on that there's 4 sides to every story. There's your side, my side, what really happened, and what you can prove happened. And very seldom do all 4 ever mix up. But I learned that it's very, very important. Go to the other person. Ask them. Let them know that your intent is right. Be forthright about it. Just say, you know what, Jeff, there's rumors out there that this is what's happening. Is that right? And you know, chase that piece out so that you are being forthright, and then you'll know how to act better. So you know, these are tough issues, but they're real issues. Craig, any other thoughts? I know we could open it up and there'd be lots of suggestions.
I just think as leaders, anytime someone says, don't tell your upline, it's a red flag. You don't mention this to your upline, it's automatically you go, red flag up. It's to be aware, and think about that. There's never be anything you would have to share with someone to say, not tell your upline, because your upline is hopefully a mentor, you have a relationship with them. So anytime somebody says that, I think you immediately, and I would tell my people that, you know, if somebody's saying these things, then you gotta wonder why would they not be open about how they feel, those kinds of things. So I just think that's a red flag for sure.
Yeah. Okay, last but not least. Go ahead.
All right, first of all, I'm sorry for my entire landing. I just finished working out. I didn't have time to put on 6-inch heels or anything. So. All right, ours was on communication, and our team's question was, Beachbody announces a new product or business promotion. As a leader, specifically what actions can you take to ensure the essential information is communicated to the entirety of your organization? What resources would you use, and how would you know you are being successful? So the general consensus of everyone on the team that has implemented this was to implement a private Facebook group for your team and downline, and that way you could have, like, say 600 people in there all getting this information immediately. You can post anything in there. You can put your videos, you can put links to the product, links to the service, anything like that, all right there in Facebook with a nice little preview. The nice part about that is that everybody pretty much checks Facebook every day, or everybody that has a Facebook account pretty much checks it, or they get a little pop-up that someone's posted in the group account. So it's a good way to get everything in front of the right people as fast as possible and in as concise in terms as possible. Also, you can do like what Dallas did, you can buy a domain name and you can point it right to that Facebook group. So you can buy I Love Fitness and send it right to your I Love Fitness team. That way, everything just goes there. It's a lot easier than saying, go to facebook.com/this/page number 9765432. It's a lot easier that way. Secondly, the next most important thing was doing a team call where you go over the product and everything. And this is so important because nothing is going to convey enthusiasm about this product or service like hearing it in your voice. I mean, trying to write about Asylum is a lot differently than getting on a phone call and talking about it, how excited you are. You can hear somebody's voice when they're passionate and fired up about it, and people will get fired up about it from hearing you. So a lot more than you can get through writing, because as many exclamation points as you can put at the end of a sentence doesn't mean the same as when you actually hear it in your voice. So next up was creating a team website where you actually host your calls, whether you already have a blog or whatever. Have a separate page. You can do password protected if you like, but Josh and Dallas do this where they have a page where they host the recordings, team calls, all that stuff, so it's a convenient place to just go get everything. And again, you can link back to your Facebook page and post those on there. People can preview them right from Facebook, from your Facebook group. And finally, that email communication is huge. Everybody in the group felt that. You got to get out an email to everybody, going over everything, and then linking to your page, your Facebook group, everything, the calls, the downloads, the new product information, any videos that might be relevant, all that information.
So here's as you take this concept of the bucket brigade, you talk a lot about pieces that we're putting out there to communicate, if it's the websites, Facebook, and all those kinds of things. How do we know, how can you know that the water that started up here, when they started passing the water, that it got down to Creighton? Because there's this idea of post it, it's out there. How do we know that the message is getting all the way from that end to Creighton?
And that was the final point that we wanted to stress, was that you have to let your leaders know so that they can then implement this and follow up with everybody. Because obviously you're not going to be able to follow up with 600 people, but by letting your leaders know and then scheduling a team call with them, making sure that they did in fact introduce us to everybody, what was the general consensus, what was the feedback like, all that information, all the responses, then your leaders can bring it back to you and you can find out the success rate when you're
Great. Well, thanks everybody. Obviously, there's lots of approaches to this. What we wanted to do was just take a few minutes and highlight some of the scenarios.